Here's one of the wildest automotive stories of the year, and it all starts with these tiny little machines you're seeing on the screen right now. Kei Cars, Japan's famously small microcars, are barely 11 feet long, under 5 feet wide, capped at 63 horsepower, and some of them are literally taller than they are wide. They zip through Tokyo like motorized lunchboxes, squeezing into parking spots so small that most Americans couldn't even fit themselves in them, let alone their vehicles. And somehow, these might actually be coming to the United States. The whole thing kicked off when President Donald Trump spotted Kei cars during a recent trip to Asia. He saw them darting around traffic, thought they were cute and surprisingly practical, and immediately asked why the US doesn't sell them. Japanese officials politely explained that American regulations don't allow it, and that was all Trump needed to hear. He then told the Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy to clear a path with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, and during a White House briefing, Duffy publicly said he's already cleared the deck for them to be sold in the US, even name-dropping Toyota as a company that could build them here. So, yes, as bizarre as it sounds, tiny Kei cars on American highways might actually become a real thing. When people think of Kei cars, the Honda N-Box is the perfect example. It's not just Japan's best-selling Kei car, it's Japan's best-selling vehicle overall, often outselling every SUV, sedan, and minivan in the country. From the outside, it looks like a rolling lunchbox, but step inside and it feels shockingly airy. A flat floor, wide-opening rear doors, flat fold seats, sliding doors on some trims, and clever storage spaces tucked into every corner. The tall roofline creates a genuinely upright lounge-like seating position, and there's enough headroom for someone well over 6 feet tall. Families love it because the rear seats slide and recline, strollers fit upright in the cargo area, and the cabin feels more like a tiny living room than a microcar. Higher trims even offer heated seats, soft-touch materials, a digital dash, and Honda-sensing driver-assisted tech that would embarrass a few US budget cars. In Japan, the N-Box makes perfect sense. The entire ecosystem of roads, parking, taxes, and insurance is built around vehicles exactly this size. They're cheap to run, easy to maintain, and ideal for cities where space is measured in centimeters. But the magic of Kei cars comes with a hilarious reality check: performance. Most Kei cars make around 63 horsepower, with the N-Box taking around 19 seconds to hit 90 miles an hour. 19. That's not a 0 to 60 time, that's a calendar invite. The top speed hovers around 80, but anything above 65 feels like you're asking the engine for emotional support. And while that's totally fine in Japan's lower speed urban environment, in the US these numbers become actual safety concerns. Merging onto a highway at rush hour in a car that accelerates slower than some riding lawnmowers isn't just stressful, it's downright dangerous. Americans already get annoyed when someone merges at 55. Imagine merging at 35 in a 1,500-pound vehicle that looks like a dorm fridge with headlights. And we've already seen how bad that mismatch can get. Just look at the recent Miami incident, where Alex Gonzalez's Bugatti Chiron Pure Sport slammed into an old Kei truck. Both vehicles were severely wrecked. It's a perfect example of what happens when something tiny meets something very fast. And while we're talking about Kei-sized icons, we have to mention the Suzuki Jimny, the tiny off-roader that has become a full-blown global cult sensation. In Japan, the Kei-spec Jimny squeezes under Kei regulations with about 63 horsepower from a compact 3-liter engine. The slightly larger Jimny Sierra bumps that to roughly 100 horsepower, still weighing well under 2,500 pounds. On paper, it doesn't sound like much until you realize what Suzuki packed into this little brick. It rides on a true ladder frame chassis, has a 2-speed transfer case, solid axles, excellent approach and departure angles, and ground clearance that embarrasses some crossovers twice its size. It's essentially a baby G-Wagon with a sense of humor. Off-road reviewers around the world rave about it. The Jimny climbs, crawls, and scrambles over terrain that leaves larger SUVs spinning their tires. Its tiny footprint makes it incredible on tight trails, and its retro styling has become iconic. The round headlights, the flat hood, the chunky fenders, it's pure charm. If Suzuki ever brought the Jimny to the US at anything close to a reasonable price, Jeep would genuinely have a problem. A pint-sized 4x4 with real trail capability, outstanding fuel economy, and retro vibes for under $25K? People would camp out at the dealerships. Wrangler sales would absolutely feel the hit. The Jimny alone proves that America will buy small, character-packed vehicles when they're actually fun and legitimately capable. Ironically, America already has a tiny Kei Car presence thanks to the 25-year import rule. At cars and coffee events, you'll see Suzuki carry trucks, Suzuki Sambar fire engines, and tiny Daihatsus that look like Tonka toys brought to life. Enthusiasts love them for their uniqueness and efficiency, but they're all at least 25 years old and totally exempt from modern safety standards. That's the big difference. What Trump is proposing isn't nostalgia imports, it's brand new Kei cars legally sold on US roads. And that dream runs straight into one huge problem: putting matchbox-sized vehicles into the land of 6,000-pound SUVs and pickup trucks lifted so high you practically need a climbing rope just to get into the driver's seat. Enthusiasts want Kei cars to succeed, absolutely, but nobody wants to see one get flattened on I-95 by someone sipping a pumpkin spice latte and steering an Escalade with their knee. The reality is that Kei cars, as they exist today, would struggle in America for three big reasons: safety, speed, and structure. Yes, they have airbags, but usually fewer and smaller than US vehicles require. They also lack the reinforced crash structures needed to survive impacts with full-size trucks. US crash tests involve higher speeds, heavier vehicles, tougher side impact rules, and stricter rollover standards. A Kei car built for Japan would need major re-engineering to survive American testing. Add too much reinforcement and you lose the lightweight advantage. Add more power and you lose the Kei classification entirely. At some point, the entire formula starts to fall apart. And yet, America desperately needs cheaper cars again. The average new vehicle sits around $47,000, completely unreasonable for many buyers. People want something affordable that isn't a tired used car with a mysterious past. In Japan, many Kei models start under $10,000, and well-equipped versions hover around $15,000, less than the destination fee on some luxury SUVs. If Americans could buy a brand new, reliable, fuel-efficient commuter with CarPlay, AC, and a warranty for under $15,000, dealerships would have lines down the street. This is where policy suddenly matters. Joe Biden's 2031 CAFE plan would have pushed fleets towards more than 50 miles per gallon, essentially forcing automakers deeper into hybrids and EVs. Trump reduced that target to around 34 miles per gallon, giving companies room to build simpler, cheaper gas cars again. Automakers have argued for years that strict CAFE rules inflate vehicle prices. And even Ford's CEO Jim Farley recently said that relaxing miles per gallon requirements opens the door for small, affordable vehicles Americans actually want. He even hinted that Ford could bring back lower-cost compact cars, models like the Ford Fiesta, which used to be one of the most affordable new cars in America before the US fuel and safety rules made it too expensive to produce. With the rollback, the idea of reviving truly budget-friendly cars, even Kei-style microcars or US-adapted versions, suddenly becomes far more realistic. But Kei cars are inexpensive in Japan because they're produced at massive scale and supported by tax incentives. The moment you try to Americanize them, adding US-required crash structures, larger airbags, emissions equipment, and engineering for higher speed durability, the price climbs fast. That $10,000 Honda N-Box suddenly becomes a $20,000 plus microcar. Still affordable, but no longer the $10,000 miracle you see in Tokyo. Even so, give Americans the right small vehicle and they'll absolutely show up. The Suzuki Jimny proves it. People don't always want giant SUVs. They want charm, character, and something that actually feels fun to drive. America's been begging for personality in cars again, and Kei cars deliver that in spades. So will this actually happen? Will US regulations shift enough? And will automakers jump on the opportunity? It's possible. Not guaranteed, but possible. EPA rules, NHTSA crash tests, and corporate economics will determine everything. The US has never embraced microcars, but global trends, rising prices, and consumer frustration might finally push the door open. Which brings us to the fun part. What do you think? Would you buy a Kei car? Would you daily something with 63 horsepower? Would you trust it on the freeway? Or do you think these tiny cars would get absolutely obliterated by America's F-150s, Yukons, and Suburbans? Thanks, and if you enjoyed this video, hit like, subscribe, and tap that new hype button. It helps push our small channel big time.